Speaking of selling things, let's talk about selling panties, shall we?
I need your panties. What?
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I always feel like such a news reporter here at this desk, the way it is set up, but it works, doesn't it? Gab and I are sharing an office right now. It's more like I'm using his office. Anyways, welcome back. In today's video, we are going to talk about different ways that you can make money with sex online. Because now that I have entered this sex relationship talk education web space, I can tell you that I have been offered a number of different ways that I can get paid for doing some really interesting things. I'm gonna share that with you today, what I have been proposed and also what I have investigated on my own time, just out of curiosity, so you don't have to. I don't know if you can relate to this, probably not my male audience, but my female audience out there, hanging around with your girls one night, talking about how you can make extra cash, and usually someone always says, you know what, maybe I'll start selling my body or something like that. I mean, I feel like we've all been there at one point or another. So doing some form of sex work like phone sex, OnlyFans, selling feet pictures, dancing, escort, whatever. But there's always that discussion as well of what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. You know, you're kind of joking, but you're also sort of half serious at the same time, but there's still a big part of you that would hold yourself back from doing any kind of that stuff because of a lot of reasons, such as you're shy, you're scared, societal expectations, shame, embarrassment, guilt. I feel like shame and embarrassment were probably some of the biggest ones. Who knows? And a whole range of other kind of excuses why someone would stop themselves from trying to make money doing some form of sex work, myself included, right? Like, I didn't expect that I would be online talking about sex and relationships and making a little bit of money off of it, but here I am, right? Let's just get into it, shall we? Like I said, I'm gonna talk about the interesting things I have been proposed over the years in terms of doing something, offering something sexual in exchange for money, and also some things I've investigated on my own so you don't have to. First and foremost, the biggest thing I want to give a shout out to is obviously my Patreon. I consider it my intimate hub where I share a few more juicy details about all the stories that I share online and so on, and extra content and lives and Q&As and, you know, engaging with you as a community. But if you're looking for nudes and stuff like that and pornographic stuff, my platform is probably not for you. This type of membership-based platform allows me to support, grow, and maintain this channel. So I'm very, very grateful for that. And probably the biggest thing so far is that it has been helping me raise money to pursue sex education certification, which I'm really enjoying, and I am forever grateful for those that have contributed to that happening. Membership-based platforms like Patreon and OnlyFans is definitely a way that you can generate income. Obviously, everyone knows what OnlyFans is. I'm not going to sit here and explain it to you. I've never used OnlyFans. I know of it, and it's sort of developed a sexual reputation over the years, but there's actually a whole range of content on OnlyFans, from cooking, exercise, baking, travel, photography. There's so much stuff on there other than just pornographic stuff. But you have to work really, 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 really hard to make any money off of these websites. And usually it's conjunction with other social platforms where you're able to reach more people to sort of hook them in and bring them in to your membership-based platform. Because if you don't do any advertising and stuff like that, then chances are you're not going to make any money, and it's a lot harder than it looks. I am speaking from experience. Obviously, my content is not like very sexual in nature, as in very graphic. Even if I was doing some other kind of content, like, I don't know, cooking, like I love to cook. I have another YouTube channel that I never use for cooking. If I had a Patreon link to that account, I have to work really, really fucking hard before I would see any return and any fans sort of wanting to commit to support me on there. Anyways, moving on to the juicier stuff. So the second one is probably selling pics. Okay, I know that sounds super basic, but I have been asked so many times to sell pictures or videos, and that is just something that I do not do. But I do acknowledge that is something I could probably make a lot of money with, but I'm not interested. So I'm not even sure what like price points I would go with or anything like that. But either way, selling pictures, nudes, stuff like that. And it doesn't even have to be nude too. People are willing to pay for pictures of like my right arm and stuff like that, but it's not really something that I do. I have gotten a lot of emails and messages and things like that, but that one's pretty basic. Nothing too crazy there. But speaking speaking of selling pics, there are the feet pics. Selling feet pics, such as on feetfinder.com, sites like that, I have definitely been interested in, just out of curiosity, because I first discovered Feetfinder out of a random fluke like a couple of years ago. I think I did some random search on the internet, something about kinky stuff. I was doing some market research and that came up and I said, I can't believe there's a website that exists for this, selling feet pics. But you know, foot fetish is a real thing. And I laughed because I've been told so many times that I have really pretty feet. I decided to actually give it a try. A few months ago, I created an account. It's a pretty not so great platform. You have to pay to become a member if you are a seller on there. So I can't remember what the price was, but I had done a lot of research on YouTube from other people who had done this very seriously, and they had complained about that as well, being not so great thing about the platform, that as a seller you have to pay because first you have to invest money and it takes a while for you to get your money back, and you have to be really active, like I said, if you want to make any money at all. And most of the time you're not just selling feet pics, it's sort of become an OnlyFans type of thing where you're selling a lot more than that as well. Like, users want pictures of faces, they want videos, they want dirty talk, they want all that kind of stuff. So if you're just going in to sell feet pics, chances are you might not do that well. But I did see the research on YouTube for the people that I followed that, you know, they did make quite a bit of money, but for the hours spent, not that worth it. It just takes a lot of time. You got to be active. You got to be really, really active on there. And I learned about a lot of interesting things that people are willing to pay for. For example, like crushing. I can't remember what the term was, but people wanting to buy pictures of crushing bugs and food and stuff like that with their feet. That was really interesting. But I didn't stay on the website very long. I think I was on for maybe like 3 weeks or something because I honestly did not have time to commit to actually make something out of it. I remembered sparking up some chat with a few men on there. Didn't really go anywhere because I was down to dirty talk, but you know, they wanted pictures and face pictures and stuff like that, and I didn't want to send those. I just wanted to send pictures of my feet. I pretty much thought that I would be able to capitalize off of the numerous foot massages that I got while I was in Thailand. The idea and inspo came to me while I was there and saying, you know what, people will probably pay a lot of money to watch me get my feet massaged. So I started filming a little bit here and there, but sadly, nobody was interested in my oily feet, so that didn't really work out too well for me. But I did meet one guy where we kind of opened up to each other a little bit, and I was honest with him, saying that I was on there for market research purposes and that I had a YouTube channel and so on. And he started opening up to me about why he was on the site. You know, he had a girlfriend and they weren't that active. He goes elsewhere to find some entertainment. And it ended up being like a therapy session, which is quite nice. And we were both joking about it because he said that he made that joke about it being a therapy session. And I told him that if he would be so kind to tip me $5 so that I can say that I made something on this website. And he did. So whoever you are, thank you for that $5 that is still sitting in Feetfinder somewhere. I don't even know how to extract the money from there. I'll just leave it there. I'll give it to Feetfinder. Moving on to the next thing that I learned about while I was doing all this Feetfinder research was a website called Friendly, which is a flirt website. You can flirt via text, phone, or video. And that I thought was interesting because, again, I like sexting and dirty talk and stuff like that. So I said, oh, okay, like interesting. Maybe I'll try this out and do a little flirting online and get paid for it, you know? So again, did a little bit of research on YouTube, and there were a few people who did make quite a bit of money on there. But again, it's like your full-time job. You are active on there 40 hours a day. Your Friday nights, your Saturday nights are taken up by that because that's when users are most active. And again, I didn't want to talk on the phone or do video, so I never signed up for the website. Actually, I think I did sign up, but there was a lot of trouble. I kept getting errors. I wrote to the support, they never wrote me back, so I never really looked into it more than that. But it sounds like you can make quite a bit of good money on there because when it comes to text, you get paid for every single message sent. So the longer you can keep someone on there chatting, the more you get paid. I think that's ideal. So you're not paid for your time, you're paid for every message sent, which I think can be very lucrative, of course. Some of the girls that I had seen on YouTube mentioned that when it came to phone calls, they were very surprised that a lot of guys didn't even want phone sex. They just wanted someone to talk about life, talk about politics, talk about travel, talk about bird photography, whatever. Just goes to show you as well that a lot of people are just looking for companionship. Anyways, if you want to check out these sites, you can and judge for yourself. I'm just telling you based on my experience. Speaking of selling things, let's talk about selling panties, shall we?
I need your panties. What?
I've gotten a few emails as well to sell items of mine. And I mean, I just think that's funny. I haven't sold anything. I don't know if I'll get into that business or not. I feel kind of weird selling myself to someone, but you know what? You never know. Again, there's a market for everything.
I need your vag sweat. And maybe some colorless discharge. I'm starting a business selling stinky panties to perverts.
One of the people that asked me if I sold anything was kind enough to elaborate about this fetish of theirs because I was curious and I asked him to elaborate more so I can talk to you guys about the phenomenon of panty selling. And I'm gonna read to you how he describes it because I thought his response was hilarious and I think you guys will enjoy it too. So he says, so the best way to wrap your mind around the space is to imagine being an idol like Elvis or Taylor Swift or Céline maybe. I liked how he had Céline on there, you know, because Céline Dion, Quebec. Anyways, love the humor. Most rational thinking people realize they will likely never meet and certainly never ever get to truly know this person, but yet sense or desire to feel more being connected. Items can literally be anything and limited only by imagination and willingness. In my experience over the years, I have seen a normal, popular range of belongs and personal items to some really fringe pieces of you, literally. I'm not sure what my limits are anymore, honestly. They certainly are far greater than when I was younger. Wonder what that means. I'm certain you would not be the first provider to provide for reasons other than their own kinks, arousal, and pleasures, by the way. Again, your open-mindedness is why I dared even approach this subject with you, and of course, your hot, spicy sweetness. I appreciate that, but I politely declined his offer. I don't want to get too specific yet on a full range of fear of you getting the wrong idea, but I suspect you are not the type to yuck someone's yum either. I like that. All right, so for now, let's just say my interests would be base layer clothing, particularly those that would best absorb your ranges of scents and flavors, and anything you use that might retain your essence, including things you might often discard. Obviously, I was curious, and I say, please elaborate more because he sounded interesting, and I want to pick his brain a little bit. He says it depends on the base layer. So I asked him questions about like, how much does it cost? How does it work? You know, I was curious about the process of this whole panty selling thing. It depends on the base layer and the type and degree of use, shall we say. Fancy items could command more, but more regular items like your daily underwear typically run $25 to $30. $25 to $35 for proof of wear pics. A 24-hour wear period and typical use. Can elaborate if you like. Wearing longer and or having orgasms in them from olives or other things could reasonably command $50 US, and some will undoubtedly want to see you do more in them, LOL. Socks, bras, hose, leggings, gym clothes, etc. are all also common interest items. That's but one facet of this untapped entrepreneurial and eroticism potential. But some of those other facets can be even more personal things, perhaps. That was interesting. And honestly, I was quite surprised at the price. I thought it was gonna be a little bit more because when you're thinking about packaging and shipping and all the time that you have to put in preparing this order, $25 seems a little low to me. Anyways, just letting you know that this is a thing. I mean, I always knew panty selling was a thing, you know, in a theoretical world. You sit around with your girlfriends, you're like, maybe I'll sell my panties one day. But now that I'm actually interacting with people who purchase these items, it's really interesting to see how it works. All right, moving on. Findom. Findom is another way that you can make some cash because I have firsthand experienced it now that I've been on this journey. I mean, I knew about Findom before, you know, by watching interviews and documentaries and stuff like that, but I didn't really know until someone contacted me and was like, do you want to financially dominate me for this amount of money? And I was like, I don't know. Do I have to do anything other than call you a loser? No. Okay, sure. So I did. It didn't last very long. It lasted 24 hours or so, but I made quite a bit of money. If you want to know the whole story of that, you could check out the video on YouTube. And I also posted a video on my Patreon about the message exchange that we had to really show you guys the dynamic between the Findom and the Fin sub. But since then, I have gotten a handful of other similar requests for FinDom stuff, but not at the level of the first one because that was an insane amount of money for a short amount of time. But this were people saying they find that kind of experience interesting. They like the idea of it being done by kind of, I guess, a typical looking human. Like, I don't know, like I don't really look very dominatrixy. That kind of turns them on. They don't have a whole lot of money, but you know, they can do like $25, $30, like small amounts. And it's just something that really gets them going. You could check out findom.com. Don't really know much about the community, but if that's something you're interested in exploring, then please, by all means, check out the FinDom community. Finally, we got some sugar baby, sugar daddy action / escort service, I guess. Back in the day, I'd say like 5 years ago now, something like that. 5 years ago, I did dabble in that sugar baby world for 3 dates. 2 with the same guy and 1 with another guy that didn't really pan out because he wasn't very nice. I was curious how it would feel to get paid for sex and so on. So I joined this website, which was Seeking, which is my affiliate website. You can check it out in the link below. They are not a sugar baby website anymore. They had started out that way many years ago, but have since moved on from that and have moved towards a more exclusive luxury dating website. So they don't want that reputation anymore. But when I went on, it did have more of that reputation. My girlfriend and I were curious. So we got on and we started talking to all these guys, and it was so funny to hear about the kind of stuff they were willing to pay for. Like, I'll do all your laundry, I'll do your groceries, and I'll pay you for it. They wanted to be dominated and stuff. I was like, this must be a joke. And then you got a lot of catfish and spammy type of things. But I did end up meeting someone that was decent. We had spent a lot of time talking before, and I was very hesitant because I was like, oh, should I do this? Should I not? You know, I have to meet you before. I can't just walk into a room and have sex with you. I need to make sure there's chemistry. I need to make sure that we get along okay. So we did, and it was actually pretty great. I met him twice. We negotiated a rate beforehand, which he was loyal to. And I remember when it was negotiation mode, I was going on the internet being like, what does a non-professional charge? Like, I didn't want to charge too high. I didn't want to charge, I don't even know. But we agreed on a rate. I did that twice, and it was pretty nice. It was cool. He was great, and it felt good. Felt good. Like I said, Seeking is now just like a regular dating website, and I still use that website to meet girls with Gab, but it's more of a dating website now. But if you're interested in checking out, you can click on the link below. And on those websites, maybe not Seeking anymore, but more like Escort transactional websites, you would be surprised what people are willing to pay for. You know, I had met a girl once who told me she met a guy off one of these sites, and he just paid her to show up at his house, pee in front of him, and then leave. Like, she was wearing her clothes and everything. He didn't even jack off or whatever. She went to his place. He sat on the couch. She walked in, she peed herself, and he just left an envelope there on the counter. She took it and she left. That's it. So I don't know what he did after. Maybe he masturbated. I don't know. But just goes to show that people are interested in paying for some very interesting things. And I'm I for sure am scratching the surface here of shit that people pay for in terms of sex and stuff like that. This is very vanilla, what I've shared with you today, at least I think anyways. Like I said, it's just to give you an idea of things that have been proposed to me and things that I've just kind of did a little bit of market research on, and things that I've also just investigated on my own. But there's a whole world of stuff that we don't know about. I see sex work as pretty much like Rule 34 of the internet. If it exists, there's porn for it, and somebody is willing to pay good money for whatever that is. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you have any stories of your own or things that you've been offered to do for money, like sexual things that you've, flat out refused, that were weird, that were funny, that were awkward, things that you've considered, but you just, you're too scared to do or whatnot, let me know. Let's share. I remember when Gab and I went for our first happy ending massage in Quebec, he was on the table and the girl was on top of him, and I climbed on top of the table too. So I was like, oh, can I, participate? And she said, yeah, sure. And there were mirrors on both sides of the room. I was barely paying attention to Gab and the girl. I remember looking into the mirror and being like, oh, damn. like, you look pretty good. I looked really good. And I was like feeling myself. And I felt so empowered in that moment. I felt so sexy and good. And then I told myself, you know what? Maybe I can do this. I could do this. This is good money right now. Like, who cares who's on the table? If I can channel that energy and empower myself and feel myself while I'm on that table, knowing that I'm like giving a good service and I'm just like really fucking good at it, why not? Why not? I have considered that. That's it, friends. That's it. That's it. As usual, je vous aime. If you want to check out my Patreon and support this channel, you can do so. Check below. Love you guys. Bye.